Okay, guys, today I'm going to do something that I've been meaning to get off my chest for about a week now. This is, well, and if you picked on this video, I mean, you obviously know what it's about.
Local unit.
This is basically a little rule list I came up with for when you're debating someone online and in general. The moral rules when arguing on the internet and in general. This is all really, it's all really come as a response to the experiences I've had on social media the past few days. How bad social media actually is when you get onto it and actually try to debate people on it. How bad it can be. I'm just saying these right now. I just came up with these rules basically to help me, you, anybody else trying to have a civil debate but can't. At least this will help you try to have one with people you severely disagree with on the internet, like the black womanist or the SJW crowd, or basically everyone that wants you dead, or not wants you dead, everyone that wants you to shut up because you're a white man or something. This is how to formally debate them. Alright, so the first rule is be respectful. No personal attacks, be calm and civil. Which is basically what we all should do, except when, we should all be aspiring to be respectful, very calm in our debates. It's one of the things that actually helps keep political discourse alive in some cases between people who disagree. Now, there's a lot of people who aren't very good when it comes to that. Some of that is just either nervousness, jumping to conclusions all of a sudden, and it's really hard for. I think it's really hard for a lot of people to do it, just because with the way that politics has become so divided recently, with Trump, blah blah blah, he's a racist and stuff. And Republicans are a hate group or blah blah blah. But what we should do is just be calm and be respectful. Don't ever say that this group is racist, that a certain political affiliation is racist unless it is, like the KKK. Don't do it like so many people in the Democratic Party used to do, and say that Republicans want to put you in chains and shit like that. Don't be an asshole. Don't make assumptions off of generalized stereotypes. And honestly, that's one of the basis for good political debate for anyone, and it would help people out a lot if you were just calm and respectful. Alright? Call out bad behavior when you see it. Call out bad people when you see them. And honestly, you'll do great. That's how I see it. Now, 2. Provide credible sources of information to back your claims on certain issues. Also, check your opponent's sources. This is one of the ways you can be intellectually honest, and I know sometimes it can be kind of hard, especially if they're from sources that are known to be not credible, like HuffPo or Vox or the Southern Poverty Law Center. Those are groups that most people, at least on the right, don't see as very good sources of information, because they're not only extremely biased. They're not only extremely biased, but they tend to lean a lot more to one political direction and will do almost anything for political brownie points, basically. Like, if you want an unbiased source, it's very, very hard to find it, unless it's coming from like an institution or something. Like, if it's coming from, say, Harvard, and it's something that almost everyone can generally agree on, then yeah, I think we can use that as a pretty good source. Uh, yeah, and if you're using a source from something like, say, Fox News or CNN, don't go out and yelling fake news or racist enablers or something like that. If the story is stupid and everyone knows it, then look at the story yourself and make sure yourself that it is incredibly stupid. This is what you should do with every source, especially if it's over something like that stupid dossier about Trump apparently getting peed on by Russian prostitutes. That's also a new thing that come out. The people were actually funding something like that in the Democratic Party, which is not good. Especially if you want to prove to other people that you're not biased. Alright, number 3. No buzzwords. It means no race. Don't say racist. Don't say, unless they're actually being racist. If they're not being racist, don't say racist. Alright, because I get into arguments all the time with people on social media. The Black Lives Matter crowd, where I tell them stuff about how, reasons why the black community has a lot of crime, why it's so bad living in states run by Democrats or something like that. Like, basically giving out pinpointed reasons why the black community is struggling the way they have been since Obama took office. But that gets you run out as a racist a lot of times. All right, like if you during Obama's presidency, if you disagreed with Obama on race, you were considered a racist, which sucks a lot, especially if you want to be a credible person. It's not good for political discourse to just oust somebody as a racist when you have no evidence of it. Right, this is a problem Republicans have had the last 2 elections, and Donald Trump's, and also for Donald Trump's election this year. Well, not this year, last year. Like during Obama's presidency, Republicans who hated Obama people said that a lot of people, including Occupy Democrats, the stupidest political advocacy group in the world, would post things of people saying like, oh, Barack Obama was treated badly because he was black. It's safe to say that he was treated a lot worse than Trump. And then you have people like me who actually were living through Obama's presidency, who actually kept up with everything, all the stupid bullcrap that Obama did, and said, no, this is bullcrap. Alright? Obama is not being treated any worse, was not being treated any worse than, say, President Carter. Alright? People thought President Carter was a bad president, and for good reason. Because his policies were bad. I mean, he helped drive the country into a recession. He did some stupid stuff as president. That's why so many people didn't like Carter. He just did so much stupid stuff, and then also Iran was a really bad thing. And like, I wish people would just argue more on the basis of policy. Alright, if we argued over policy instead of arguing over race and sex and race and gender and blah blah blah, it would be a lot better if we could do stuff like that. Like if we could just argue on policy. But people on both sides of the aisle will use race as a they will use race as a prop. It's just gonna happen. There's no way you can really prevent that, considering our politics have been so polarized over the last 10 years. It's really hard to. Also, if you're on the right, don't call people libtard. Don't assume because they're liberal they don't have something nice to say, okay? I may disagree with a lot of liberals on some things, but give them a fair playing field. Don't just be a dick. Like, don't just automatically take anything they say as some libtard nonsense. Okay, just actually listen to what they're trying to say, and if you have a problem with it, then you have a problem with it. All right, say like tax policy. If you disagree on tax policy, just argue over tax policy and why you think taxes are bad, why people shouldn't have to pay for it, pay for taxes. Right? That would be something good. Healthcare, same thing. Why universal healthcare would be bad for the country. Right? These are debates that we can have, but you have people on both sides who would rather, instead of bridging the divide, escalate the divide, which is not good if you want to encourage political discourse. Like, it's just really bad to see for the political partisanship. All right, one of the things that have led to politics being so divisive right now is partisan politics. Like, so many people just believe either everything Obama will believe just everything that Obama says or everything that Trump says. Believe it as fact when, in a lot of cases, it was verifiably false. I just still find it mind-boggling that so many people would just take everything a political figurehead will say as it's the truth, especially if they're wrong. Alright, step 4. Well, rule 4. If your opponent is not following these rules, like I'm stating here, being respectful, providing facts, encouraging stuff, if not doing any of these, just be respectful and as calm as you can, unless they are attacking you personally so much to a point that you cannot take it anymore. Alright? Now, I understand the frustration of being called a racist, being called sexist when you're providing things that are true. Like, you're providing sources that are true. Like, you're saying why you believe this or why you believe that. I understand the frustration that you just get ousted as a racist just because of your beliefs that are verifiably not racist. This is, like I said, this is my whole criticism of not only President Trump, but the bigger one, President Obama, because they would attack people personally. Alright, that's something that majorly Democrats have been doing since the days of Bush, basically. Not first Bush, second Bush. They would always say that he was a warmonger, that he was Hitler incarnate. I mean, Ben Shapiro has a great article about this, about how, since former President Bush came out and said something, it had not really a press conference, but really a speech about, things today, and so many people on the left took it as a bashing against Trump, but he bashed the left pretty damn hard, and they're ignoring that. Alright, they're just going to take, and by the way, why are they taking advice from a guy they thought was literally Hitler? The guy who they first thought was literally Hitler. Alright, it goes to show you that they don't really care about anything. They just care about bashing Trump. Alright, and same thing with people on the right. They'll do this all the time. They'll ask you as a libtard, or they'll say you're a lunatic or some stuff. And also, people would also get called, like, socialist, really without hard evidence. Now, if you support socialists, people might think you are a socialist, but if you're, say, you were just a guy who didn't want to see Trump or Hillary win, and you would rather have seen Bernie win than Hillary or Trump, it wasn't because you agree with him on policy, you just didn't like Trump or Hillary, that would kind of be seen as, that wouldn't really be seen as, say, you just hated Trump and Hillary, you don't want to see either of them political power, and you just wanted Bernie Sanders because there was really no other person to choose. I was kind of like that at one point in the election, because I had different phases during the election. I had my MAGA phase. I had my MAGA phase. I had my Never Trumper phase. I had a slight bit of Bernie phase, but not really. Once I took a really close look at his policies and what he wanted to do. Like, the more I looked at him, the more I hated him. And with Trump, it was the same thing, but I had already distrusted Hillary long before the election. Alright, Benghazi being a prime example. It was bad. Alright, and the way Hillary and the Obama administration handled Benghazi was very, let's just say that it was really atrocious the way they handled it. Alright, and like I said, with Bernie, I mean, a little bit. I liked him a little bit, but the more I looked at him, the more I was like, nah, this guy's not really good. But, and honestly, if people would stop calling, like, Trump voters racist because they voted for Trump, or if everybody would stop calling people who supported people on the Democratic side socialist, we would get a little bit farther in politics today. But, you know, it's gonna be a long, really hard, and really tough road to do it. Like, in our politics, it still has a really long way to go. Alright, and our final step. Encourage political discourse with those who disagree. Steven Crowder is one of my prime examples, because he will have people on a lot who they disagree with, like Mark Duplass, Michael Ian Black, Naomi Watts. I think it was Naomi Watts that he had on last week for feminism debate. Sally Cohn, even, you know, the chick from CNN who is an idiot, frankly, but I mean, he has her on, he's respectful with her. Alright, that's one of the things I like so much about Crowder, is that he's open to other viewpoints, but if he sees something so atrocious that he cannot find any middle ground with you, like, say, abortion. But I mean, Steven Crowder is a good example of this. He was also a good example of the no buzzwords things, like libtard and stuff. Like, he said, he was one of the reasons why I stopped saying that. I didn't really say it that much anyway, but he said, no, saying libtard isn't really a good way to help encourage political discourse for anybody. I was like, yeah, I'm inclined to believe him. Alright, but if you find someone that you were to disagree with on policies, on race, like, one of the things that helped make the American experiment so good is the fact that we were able to have respectful political discourse. I mean, I know we've had some pretty shitty times for it. We were always able to come out of that. But, like Ben Shapiro said, this is why the country is in serious trouble, is the fact that we cannot get ourselves we can't get ourselves out of partisanship. Everything has to be a political issue, even if it's not. And one day, everything's going to bite us in the ass. If we get ourselves into a problem, like, say, we get into war with North Korea, then we cannot come together even to fight an enemy as dangerous as Korea, then we are screwed. Alright, that's what I wanted to do with this video. I just wanted to give out helpful tips for everyone, no matter what side of the aisle, to help have political discourse that will help the country, not divide the country. Alright, I want people united. I don't want division. I don't want division based on race, based on sex, based on what your ideology is. Alright, one of the things that really drove us into this was the last 2 elections, with the fact that the partisanship in the media, in the Democratic Party, was so high that even objective people in the Republican Party, they just couldn't do it. They just couldn't keep up with it. And so many people have just basically said, you know what, screw this. If they're not gonna actually help us out on anything, we're just gonna be dicks too. We're gonna be you, maybe even worse, but we're gonna be you. Right? This is one of the reasons why I thought Trump being president wouldn't be the greatest thing for the country. It may be good in the short term, but it's not good right now. It is somewhat semi-going okay. I mean, he's not doing bad. He's not doing great. I'd like to see him do great. Like, he's in that middle ground between good and decent for me. Alright, there's a lot of things I'd like to see done. I'd like to see a full repeal of Obamacare. Like, just fuck Obamacare in the ass, please. That's what I wish. That's what I want to happen. But we're not gonna see that because the partisanship is so high, and also the also wanting to get brownie points for political discourse. Well, not the political discourse, for bashing Trump, since that apparently brings along major capital for some reason. Instead of actually trying to help policies that a lot of people could actually agree on, we're just screwing everybody up. We're just screwing everything to the point where our politics is just unrecognizable in almost every way. And that is one of the reasons why I fear for the future of this country. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. This will be the last political video I'll be doing for a while because tomorrow the new Wolfenstein comes out. Yeah, I'm gonna get to kill more Nazis and KKK assholes. So I'm gonna be what I'm gonna be doing for the more than the next few videos is basically just killing Nazis. Basically, I'm just gonna be doing my Let's Play of Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus, and unless something big happens, like say we do actually get into a war with North Korea, then I'm not doing any political videos until I beat Wolfenstein 2. All right, I'm gonna be playing it with you. All right, I'm gonna be Alright, I'm just gonna get the game new. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna record it while I play it. We're gonna go through this together. Alright, so thank you guys for watching. This is the last FML for probably a few weeks. I'll see you guys soon.